We are so thankful that y'all have joined us for this program overview of the Master of Social Work options here at Baylor University at the Garland School of Social Work. This is going to give you a great overview of both the residential and online programs. So if you're interested in either of those, this is the right place to be. Just some rules of engagement. Please make sure that you keep yourself muted throughout the presentation. And then if you have any questions throughout the presentation, you can put those down in the chat as well. So while we are getting set up, I would love for everyone to hop in the chat and share just your first name, which program you're interested in, and one burning question you want answered by the end of this presentation. So if we can start doing that with each other, that would be awesome.
Everyone, just give me 1 second as well. I'm having some technical difficulties over here.
We're all good, and we all have grace for each other in the digital space, you know? While we're doing that, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. So I'm Jordan Goodnature. I'm Assistant Director of Enrollment Management here at the Garland School of Social Work. And we're joined here by Dr. Kristen Arquetta, who I'll let introduce herself.
Thank you, Jordan. So as Jordan said, my name is Dr. Kristen Arquetta. I serve, and I'm just Kristen Arquetta, but I serve as the MSW Online Program Director, and am so honored to be here tonight to meet all of you. And I'm thanking you so much for your time and being willing to come and listen more about our programs, which we are so passionate about, and really hope that this is a great match for you and that we can give you more information about who we are and what we hold dear. I already saw Chrissy's chat where she said, I want to feel supported in an online program, and that is so important to us. And so we want to talk about what it means to be connected and how you can both connect with your colleagues, but also your faculty and your administration, how you feel that we really are, I like to call the Garland School one big tapestry, and that each of the threads in this tapestry, which our students make up threads and our faculty make up threads and our alumni and everyone wonderful who's been a part of this program makes up the thread in this tapestry, are needed in order to hold it together. And so we are so excited and so thankful for each of you. One, just your interest in social work in general. It is a society that needs more social workers, needs more people willing to connect. And we can't wait to get to know y'all and find out if this is the place for you. So excited to answer some questions tonight. And I know Brittany is working feverishly to try to help us with her thing. Brittany, go up to the top where it says swap displays. All right.
So that actually is Jordan.
Oh,
there
Jordan.
we go.
Well,
okay, there we go.
Okay, cool. There we go. All right. Thank you, Jordan. And thank you, Brittany. So today we're going to talk a little bit about kind of giving you an overview of our programs. And so if we'll go ahead and move to the next slide and tell me if y'all are ready for me to go ahead and go, because it's 5:08 and I'm just jumping in. So if for some reason I'm jumping in too soon, y'all stop me. But we're going to go over the program overview and some curricular things that might be of interest to you. We're going to talk about one of the big things that sets us apart here at the Garland School, and that's ethical integration of faith and spirituality. We are going to talk about what it looks like to be an on-campus learner, and then what it looks like to be an online learner, and what are some of the experiences there, which I saw some of you interested in. And then also we're going to talk a little bit about admissions and application requirements, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A. I do want to talk a little bit about adding who I am and why I'm here. Other than being the online program director, I also have an honor of being an alumni from the school. And so I can wear both hats of saying I'm a faculty member, I teach certain courses in the school, I serve as a program director, but also I know what it is to sit in a seat and think, is this the right program for me? Is this the choice I want to make? What difference will this make in my life? How can this help me serve and assist people? So I'm excited to answer those questions for you tonight and see how we can kind of navigate those waters together. So let's get started, because I think the most important part will really be the questions that you have and how we can answer those specifically to you. So let's take a look at those of you who are looking to sit in our residential campus, which is in Waco, Texas. You are going to go for if you're there for our standard MSW, that means that you have not had an undergraduate experience in social work. You will be with us throughout the duration of our existing full master's program, which means you'll have a foundation term with us, learning what it is to really think about social work, what it means to dip your toe in social work and kind of start contemplating what that might mean to look at social work specifics and how different service opportunities come about in social work. So that would be kind of what our foundation year looks like. And then jumping up to our specialized year, which we offer 2 different tracks for. One would be the clinical track, and the other would be a community track where you can actually dig deep. So our clinical track, when you get into that advanced year, you think, I'm really going to get into it and I am going to start doing some therapy work. I'm going to learn really deeply about models and theoretical practices that are going to help me when I'm advancing and interacting with my clients to help them progress toward reaching their goals. But then also, if I'm a community practitioner, I'm going to look about what it means to do more grassroots organizing or to get excited about renaming my stakeholders. What does it look like for my clients to now be board members or community members that I'm seeking to serve through efforts of what we can build together as we're creating offerings for our community in general. So those are kind of the 2 different areas that we have. So again, you'll also have some practicum hours in there, which is what we call the signature pedagogy, although it is andragogy. Pedagogy would be if your undergrad students are actually more middle school or high school students, but as adults, it's andragogy. And so signature andragogy of our field. And so we want you to go out there. We want you not only to learn about it in books, but to actually experience what it's like to be with people and to practice your skills and competencies on humans and say, okay, how is this different than what I read? Or how did I perceive this? And how is this changing as I'm coming face to face with someone? So you will have that 1,030 practicum hours over 4 terms when you are with us in the standard program. Now, if you have had a degree in social work, a BSW, and you're coming to us and it's been within the last 4 to 5 years, then we are going to put you in or think about putting you into our advanced standing MSW program, which is again about half the program. That's 30 credit hours. You only need about 550 practicum hours over 2 terms, and you have 2 semesters, but then this is going to be purely that specialized practice where you're digging deeper because you already have a foundational base in social work. So we're excited to answer and talk about questions there. And again, it's still that clinical or community practice that you get to choose from as you decide and you admit into the program. Let's go to the next slide. If we can, please. Jordan, would you mind advancing me, please, to the next slide? Oh, thank you. Okay. So we talked a little bit about this program specializations. You get into that advanced terms, whether it's whether you're starting there because you have a BSW somewhere else or with us, or if you're starting there because now you've finished your foundation year and you need to pick. Do I want to be a clinical practitioner or do I want to be a community practitioner? And we have students that really kind of get, oh, I'm stumped. I don't know which one to pick. I don't know how to choose. And what I want you to think about is that within our program, you are going to learn both. So this doesn't have to be a make or break, or it's not definitive of what your future social work career or profession may look like. There are just 3 classes that are very specific that you're going to take that are different. So it's only a 3-class difference that are going to hone you in on clinical practice or community practice. And so clinical practice does really prepare you to work more in that micro level or even that meso level with some groups, but really as a clinician sitting there helping work through issues and problems that come up with clients and assisting them in reaching their goals. Again, as we talked about, community practice prepares you more for public or nonprofit work. We want you to think about working in communities at large or working as a lobbyist or someone who works within legislation, works on policy change, works in congregations or religiously affiliated agencies. That's going to be more of our community practitioner. So one of the things that I always tell students when they're thinking, well, am I clinical or community? I always give them the analogy of living in a city and you live at the base of a mountain. And at the base of the mountain, you're seeing people drinking the water that is coming out of the river. And as they drink it, you are seeing them get sick. and you're saying, oh my gosh, what's happening? I want to make this better. And so you are going, and if you are a clinical practitioner, you are thinking about, how do I, this one person who's drunk, who's had the water, who has been drinking the water, I'm going to assist them, and I'm going to see how I can help fix them, how to get well, how to maybe look for other areas of getting water. How do I assist them in those things? But how do I assist every single human that is having a drink of that water? If you're a community-minded practitioner, maybe you're saying, you know what, I love the fact that those clinical practitioners are sitting there and helping with those people who have partaked in drinking that water, but I want to go up to the top of the mountain, and I kind of want to figure out what's happening in the water in general. Why does this keep happening? I want to help those, yes, but I want to help them in more big picture ways and go up to the top of the mountain. A true social worker is going to be able to do both, right? Maybe we have our mindset on, hey, I really want to help the one-on-one or the small groups. Maybe we have our mindset as, I want to help the community. But if you're a clinical practitioner, I would hope that each and every one of us decides, I'm going to sit on boards. I'm going to have my eyes open for community change that needs to occur based on what my clients are telling me. And I'm going to advocate for that, because it's not enough just to stay within a small clinical realm. And if you're a community practitioner and you're thinking big picture, I would hope that you're saying, you know, I need to go talk to those people sometimes that are being affected by this. I want to hear what's going on with them before I recommend big process or policy changes. I want to know, how is this affecting each individual in different ways? How can I be somebody who's making this big picture change, but that matters to the people in my community? So we want you to be a little bit of both, and that's why it's only a 3-course difference, but it does help to kind of think, which of these do I most resonate toward? And there is no right or wrong answer, and we're happy to talk with you through each and every one of those decisions. All right, let's see the next slide. Thank you. Now, the next slide that we're going to cover is, and I think we might have skipped one, Jordan. We might want to go back really quickly to talk about practicum. So the next slide we're going to cover is actually about practicum, and just talking to you a little bit about what that looks like. So as part of what we talked about earlier, as a way to engage in understanding really what it looks like to really serve and to assist people, we want you to do a practicum experience. This is part of the learning. This is really where we say the rubber meets the road. We want you to go in and have exchanges with clients and do the job and fill the roles of social workers in your community, so that you can feel and start understanding what it is like to do this job, and experience the tension that occurs when working with a client that maybe is resistant to change, or the tension that occurs when you have stakeholders that see things a little bit differently when you're a community practitioner. And how does it look to not walk behind your client or lead your client, but to walk right alongside them and assist them in making and seeing the options that they have as they're making decisions to reach their goals. So in order to do that, we do have a practicum experience. And what that looks like for the Garland School is actually pretty neat. We have a whole team that we call the practicum education team that will work with you in finding a practicum opportunity that will assist you in meeting the competencies you need to meet to show that you have learned what you need to learn in order to move past and to graduate from our school and become a successful MSW. So what that looks like is, when you admit with us, we actually assist you in finding these practicum placement sites. You're not on your own. You do not have to go out there and find one on your own, but we assist you. We interview you. We say, okay, what is it? What are the things, the populations that you're interested in? What are the things that that you're hoping to gain and achieve from a practicum placement? And then more importantly than anything, we say, given all of that, this is a place that's available to you that needs an intern in your area that will meet and make sure you achieve those competencies, but also meet the Garland School expectations around practicum. So in your foundation year, if you are a standard student with us, you would have 480 hours, and you would take a practicum course, but that lasts over 2 terms, or 2 different terms with us. So you would take half your hours in the first term, where you're starting to kind of slowly get to understand what it is to be a social worker. And then the next term, you'll take the other half of your hours. And our hope is that you kind of gain momentum and start doing more of the role. Then you move up to your advanced year. And if Your advanced year is all you need to have with us. You're going to take 2 terms of practicum in those advanced years. If you go from your foundation year to your advanced year with us, then you'll take 2 more terms of practicum work and have more of a specialized or deeper, richer experience within your practicum field. So let me give you an example, where in the foundation year, you may be doing things like assessments or psychoeducational groups. When you're in your advanced year with us, you're going to be doing more therapeutic work if you go clinical track, and more grant writing or big picture thinking if you go community track. So in your advanced year, you'll get 550 practicum hours, again, over 2 terms, for a program total of 1,030 hours, which is really a good amount. It for us has been incredibly successful in both showing competency for our students, but also having our students go out and feel incredibly prepared when they are joining the professional social work world. All right, let's talk about the next one, because this one is actually really fun. Some of you might be here today specifically for our 10th competency. And so what that looks like is the Council on Social Work Education requires that all schools of social work that are accredited meet 9 competencies. And they're over research, they're over practice, they're over diversity, equity, inclusion, but they need you to show 9 competencies that are overarching for all accredited schools. The Garland School has decided to take it a step further and ask that our students become competent in a 10th area. And that is the role and influence of religion, spirituality, and philosophical perspectives within ourselves and our clients. And what does this look like for us to, again, walk alongside our clients as they are having and experiencing life, but also as they take into account what their faith, spirituality, and perspectives are doing, and how that is building the holistic person that they are. So what our 10th competency actually asks is that our students be able to engage in ethical and anti-oppressive social work practices and research that considers the role and influence of religion, spirituality, and philosophical perspectives. Now, our students can sometimes get a little muddled about this and say, well, so what does that mean to me? Is this my place and time to share my philosophical beliefs or my spiritual or religious beliefs with my clients? And we would say, no, this is the place and time for you to dig deep and understand how your beliefs have brought you to this place, how those beliefs allow you to sit in your structure of thinking and to be able to exemplify what those beliefs look like in your exchange and interaction with others, but also how those beliefs will allow you to sit with a client and listen and be receptive to their beliefs and what has led them through the world, and understand that it's our role as a social worker to take that into account and want to know more about how they've become who they are and how their decisions are being led or drawn through their faith perspectives, religion, and spirituality. So this is a way for us to think deeper and critically about how our clients identify with their faith, but also recognize that we can't truly look at somebody holistically and value them without seeing all the aspects that have come together to make this person who they are. And religion, spirituality, and philosophical perspectives are a huge part of that. So we ask that our students learn to practice ethically with their clients and communities from a variety of religious backgrounds. That, again, it is not our place to sit there and tell our clients how to believe, but walk alongside them through those beliefs and assist them in being able to attain and achieve what it is they've come to us or sought support for. All right. So what is it like? This is going to be my favorite slide because it's talking about learning online, and that's the joy and passion of my life. But we're going to talk a little bit about what it's like to learn online, and we've had a couple questions about that already. Our online program is incredibly unique in that it does have a hybrid structure. So if you're thinking, hey, I'm looking for an online program where I can just do my own work in a vacuum, just asynchronous work and I never meet with a teacher. That's not this program. This program is hybrid, meaning that for every credit hour that you have with us, half that hour or half that time is spent learning and getting lectures and doing activities and reading that might start online. But then every week you'll also have a live class. Live as in you're on with me right now. You would do this just like this. And we would learn together and dig deeper into what you learned while you were doing your asynchronous content. So if one week we learned about a certain group of skills that we want you to learn in an interpersonal interaction, we're going to have you practice those, do those things while online. And then together, we're going to watch those videos and we're going to give feedback on them and talk about how we can better them and gain a richer, deeper understanding. So that's how our online program works. It really is start the content here and really dig in and get deeper with the content when you're with me or your faculty one-on-one online. And when I say one-on-one, it's one faculty member with a group of students. But the cool thing with our program is our class sizes are small. It's one of the beautiful parts of our program that I love. I know all of my students by name. We talk about their lives. I know how they might be needing extra support in certain areas, or how we can address things that they are uncomfortable or still feel muddy about with content. I also celebrate the joys and the successes that our students have. So you're not just a name when you're here in the Garland School. You really are part of a classroom environment where your faculty knows you, they know your face, they know about what's going on, and they're here to support and kind of work with you through the content. Let me think. We also have a really a great aspect in that as you start the program, we assign you to a student success advisor, or one of the things we call a student support manager here. And so that person will work with you from the very beginning of the program all the way to graduation. They're there to talk to you about resources. What are some extra things that you need as the terms go by? What are they'll remind you about registration. They'll talk to you about your plan of study. They will talk to you about life events that occur that you're looking for just extra support in. So if you're wondering, well, I had this happen in my life and I'm wondering how that might help me, or how I can get some help in balancing my coursework, they'll kind of talk to you a little bit about those things as well. So you almost have what ends up being, honestly, a one-on-one resource that can assist you through your time within the program to help you feel supported and intentional with your time and seen in our program. You also have tech support. We have multiple supports. The learning management system we use is Canvas. So there's a 24-hour support there. And then the Baylor University also has a full tech support team that is there to help you via phone, via chat, or via email when you need it. We are a very high touch and intentional faculty. Again, as I said, we want to know what's going on, and we can kind of tell with our students when they're doing really well and then one might fall off a little bit. We do that intentional outreach to say, hey, we've noticed something's going on. Talk to us. What's going on? We want to be over communicative and let you know that we are here for you and with you. Next slide. Jordan and Brittany, will someone do the next slide for me real quick? Thank you. Okay, learning on campus. So very similar. The differences are the content is the same. The culture of the Garland School, we hope, is the same. The differences are that on campus, you are primarily always going to be in that sit down in class environment. The traditional hours for on-campus classes are 8 to 5. I will say for online, that's a little different. Our classes start at 4 p.m. online and go and end around 9 p.m. on certain nights. So depending on what schedule you have, online would be around the afternoon, evening hours. We're on campus usually during the daytime. Our on-campus also only has or offers classes fall and spring semesters. They have a fall only start, meaning they really are part of more of a cohort model where they want you to start and kind of keep going through your term. Online is a little different in that Online offers all classes at all times, at all terms. So it's not at all times, but at all terms. So that's one of those things that we really want you to understand. If you really want to sit in a class and you want a structured thought about, I want to be kind of in the step with my colleagues in my cohort, being residential or learning on campus is a great opportunity to do that. The average class size, again, similar to our online classes, is about 15 students. The student faculty ratio is 10-1. So our faculty there is very invested in making sure that you know them. They are all in the school that you would take courses in. Most of the time they're in their offices. They try to keep their doors open for opportunity to meet with faculty and just to have that one-on-one where you're getting to learn and ask them extra questions. You also have that online, but it is more, when you're in a residential program, you can see them face to face. With us, it's Zoom to Zoom. And so that might be a little different for you. There is a faculty mentorship program that all of our campuses engage in, where you have an opportunity to say, I want to dig deeper in this subject, and then look through our faculty and say, this person has the same interest that I do, and become their mentee. That is done in the fall and spring terms. And you can learn from them and meet with them once a month or as often as you would like to talk a little bit about what it is to grow in the field and become the professional you want to become. You also have access when you are going to an on-campus program to the Waco community, which I have to give a big shout out to, because it is a beautiful building in downtown Waco, which was an intentional choice in order to be among the people we are seeking to serve. You have access to all the wonderful things that Baylor has access to, as well as access to those 2 little bear cubs that are amazingly cute. I don't know if you know that, but that's our live mascot, is the bears. And so they're a lot of fun to go and check out. But the Waco community is wonderful. As somebody who used to live there, I live in St. Louis now, but as somebody who used to live there, it's a great place. So you have access to that whole community. Next slide. Okay, I'm going to leave this to the professionals.
All right. Thank you, Kristen. So I can go ahead and start since the online bullet is there first. So for the online MSW application, we do have applications for both advanced standing and our standard 6 or 8 term track options open until November 29th. So if you are currently working on your application, you do still have some time to get those items in. You also still have time to start that application. So I would say just really focus on some of those things that are out of your control. So things like references, you do need 3 references for both applications, and they can be professional or academic in nature, but those are typically, something that you're asking other people for. And so that's something that you may want to give them a deadline that's a little earlier than the 29th. We also need all of your transcripts. So they can be unofficial in nature up until you get admitted. And then if admitted, you would need official transcripts requested. So just something to kind of keep in mind in terms of that timeline. And then in addition to that, for all standard application students, you would be responding to 4 essay questions, no more than 500 words each. For advanced standing students, you would have those 4 essay questions plus 3 additional questions that would focus on your practicum experience. As well as for those advanced standing students, we also need your midterm and final practicum evaluations. And so if you have any questions about application information, we do have another application walkthrough in November, so this month. So feel free to register for that on the webinar website. And I'll go ahead and hand it over to Jordan for the campus application deadlines.
Thank you so much, Brittany. And our application is exactly the same. You're just going to choose residential when you choose your program. I hope that you've kind of seen as we've gone through this presentation and Dr. Argueta has shared this incredible information that we really are the same program, just with 2 different modalities. So you're going to get the same things from each at the end of the day. It just depends on which one is going to work best for you. And the application is the same way. It's the same exact application. For Waco, we still have standard and advanced applications open. They'll be open all year. our most recent upcoming deadlines is going to be February 1st. And I do recommend, if you can, meeting this deadline, because that ensures you're going to get maximum consideration for maximum scholarship. I have seen some folks who are interested in the residential MSW in the chat asking about scholarships specifically. So to answer part of that question before we go over to the Q&As, one thing you can do to ensure scholarship is to apply by February 1st. And that does bring us to our next slide on what's next. We want to stay in touch with you. So we're a very intentional program. We're a very personable program, and that extends into the admissions process into these programs as well. So we want to hear more from you, and we want to be your advocates throughout this process. You can reach us at phone at 254-710-8360, or email us there, and make sure you follow us on Instagram as well. I also want to take this moment to say thank y'all for your grace, as my mouse was acting up and the slides are jumping around. I appreciate it. But now I'm going to open it up for questions and answers.
And Jordan,
And I've started a few.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I wanted to go ahead and touch in. I know we had one of you talk a little bit about paid practicum placements. I want to go ahead and touch on that a little bit. So I have to be very honest that is few and very far between. It is very, very rare that any of our students will get a paid practicum or internship placement. They are just not out there anymore. We've found that sites that are asking for interns really are looking for great social work students, but there is a bevy of people applying for these internship sites. And so they have found that this is just not always something that they're having to pay for. Now, our practicum team is constantly asking these sites, hey, is there anything we can do for our students? Is there anything you're able to do? But I just want to be fair in noting that as much as we are asking, it doesn't happen very much. So I would not count on your internship being something that is paid.
I know we had a question come up on the standard track. So this would be specifically for the online program in terms of your class times. So with that Tuesday through Thursday, 3 to 9 p.m. Central Time class schedule in mind, for the 6-term option, which we have the 6 and the 8-term option available for January still, you are taking typically about 3 to 4 classes each term, and you're spending anywhere from about 30 to 70 hours per week for your classes, your assignments, and your practicum experience. So keep in mind also that you'll have 4 terms of practicum experience in addition to the classes that you'll have. And so if we're comparing that to the 8-term option, which would be that other option available for January, you're taking about 2 to 3 classes each term for that 8-term option, and spending anywhere from about 25 to 60 hours a week in your classes, assignments, and practicum.
And then I've started some questions here for us to answer. So we have a question: how soon after completing your MSW are you able to apply for your social work license and start work as a social worker?
Yeah, I can jump on that if y'all are okay with that, or y'all can, whichever you'd like. But so here's the thing: for your LMSW, which is your licensed master social worker, in some states, Texas being one of them, if you're in the Texas area, you can actually apply for that prior to even graduating. So what that looks like is you are expected to complete a certain amount of educational hours. And once you've completed that, which usually happens right around the beginning of your last term with us, we have our online assistant director of program operations, and they will go ahead and send out something that says who's applying for licensure, and you'll let us know, and we will let the differing states know that you're interested in, and you can go ahead and take your test. Again, in states like Texas, you can take it prior to even graduating. Now that the test scores and your ability to call yourself an LMSW won't happen, or you won't get those until your graduation day. But you can already know that you've passed that and let people know that you're interviewing with that that's a credential that you already are planning to have upon graduation, which is great. Other states actually require that you wait until you graduate to sit for that exam. So you just have to know on a state-by-state basis what your state is requiring. But something really fun and important to look into, and something that as far as the LMSW is pretty quick to gain. We actually have a really, really high rate across the state of Texas, but also in the United States for those who pass the exam. So we're really proud of our program and how it prepares you well for taking that exam. And then if you choose to move forward and get your licensed clinical social worker designation, that's going to be something that would, after you got your LMSW, you would take an additional amount of time. Usually it's additional amount of hours working in the field. It's about a 2-year period of time. And then you'd get to sit again for another exam that would help you gain your licensed clinical designation. Now, that's more in the state of Texas and a lot of the southern states, Midwest states. There are certain states that don't recognize just an LMSW, which is what you would get right after graduating with us, but do require you to take your education and sit for those hours. And then they do look at and approve the licensed clinical social work standing. So every state has a understanding of a licensed clinical social worker. Not all states have an understanding or designation for a licensed master social worker. None of that helps.
It super does. Thank you so much. Another question we had was, do students have to choose a specialization, clinical or community, or can they elect not to choose one? Are they locked in once they choose one? I know you mentioned that briefly on the slide, but we'd love to go more into it.
Yeah, so yes, we do require that you choose, but let me say something really cool. We've recently opened it up that where I said that there's a 3-course difference, we've recently opened it up that actually one of the 3 courses you can take cross specialization as your elective. So if you are like, hey, I really want to be a clinician, but I'm really interested in this community track, you can take community evaluation for practice as your elective and gain a little bit more community knowledge by doing that. But we do require that you kind of have a focused area, be it clinical or community. And the reason that is, it's not because we're just being hard-headed. It really is because your practicum experience will focus on that specialization area. So if you want to be a community practitioner, we're going to put you in an amazing community practice practicum site where you're going to get really good experience working in community relations, working in community growth, and gaining those competencies. A clinician, we might put you in a private practice or a hospital setting or a setting where you're going to really get that intentional interaction so that you can use your theories and models and assist clients in, again, achieving and gaining those goals that they're seeking. So in order to do that, we need you to choose because those sites are very different and we want to make sure you're getting the experience and really a good vast amount of competency in that specialization area you're choosing.
Thank you so much. And I think one of the last kind of general program questions we have is for someone who's looking at doing it as a standard applicant, looking at the online program. I know we talked a little bit about like the hours requirements and what the hybridity of sync and async looks like. But what does like a typical week in the life for a student look like when it comes to time in class, time in practicum, and time expected for studying and schoolwork?
Yeah, so I think it depends on the term that you're in. I will say if you are a standard track student, and as Brittany stated, that's usually about 3 courses every term, you're going to have some time that is only class-based. You're not in practicum in those terms, you're in courses, but our courses are, we have a very good reputation around Texas and the United States for preparing our students well, which allows you to really take off after graduation. But being that as it is, we are gatekeepers of the clients that you're going to serve one day. We really want you to be intentional about your learning because we know it affects human lives. And so in saying that, our courses are not just, hey, we don't have to read some weeks and we get to just assume an A. Our courses are intentional in wanting you to learn about this and be passionate about social work. So there is a lot of reading, there is a lot of group work, there's a lot of engaging in coursework and kind of working through and critically thinking about what's going on. So that's what happens when you're in just all course terms. When you're in a term that also has practicum in it, you're expected to both be in classes in the evenings, but also find time for your practicum between the hours of usually 8 and 5, Monday through Friday. And when you're finding time for those practicum, we expect that you'll also be there about 20 hours average. I'm going to say averaging about 20 hours a week, depending on if you're a specialized student or a foundation student, but it averages around 20 hours a week. So I want you to really consider that, because it is a lot of time, but it is also time well spent and important in order for you to gain everything you need to have to be able to serve the clients that you're here seeking to serve.
Thank you so much. I think the question that we'll end on is, we have a great group here who are interested in both residential and online, but ultimately people who are looking to get a Master of Social Work and make a difference. So I would love to ask, thinking about these folks who are about to embark on something really exciting, what piece of advice would you give them as they go on this journey to hopefully being a social worker?
Yeah, I think we're going to tell you two things. The first and most important thing is going to be to take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Know that you matter. In order for you to make a difference in other people's lives, you have to respect, give yourself grace, and have that opportunity to be vulnerable wherever it is. Hopefully here that you're looking at getting your social work degree, but be vulnerable with us and understand that this is all new. So take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, because this is a learning process. Additionally, I would say that it is really important, as you're taking care of yourself, as you're being introspective, to understand why you are here. One of the first things I do with all my classes is say, what's your motivation for being here? And a lot of times my students will say, it's because I want to help people, or it's because I want to do this. And I say, that's amazing. I love that. I want to hear that. I want more people that want to help people. But more importantly than that, because that is a great reason, that usually isn't our internal driver. Our internal driver has something to do with us. Why are you here? Why do you want to be a social worker? Why do you want to help others? It's such a selfless field. Why do you want to be there to hold someone's hand as they're walking through really hard things in their life? And there's something in you that is driving that. And if you can find that and tap into that and try not to lose sight of that, this degree will become easier and easier, because you know why you're sitting here. You know the value and the importance of all the things that you'll have to do. The reading won't feel so cumbersome. The papers won't feel bad, because you remember, no, I know why I'm here. I know what I'm fighting for. So tap into it. Find what you're fighting for, because we need you. We're thankful for you. Every program, every social worker that we can graduate. And this is, and as I said, every social worker that we've graduated recently, and we know them, we know what differences they're out there making, but we need you. This world needs you. So thank you. But it starts with you. So let it start with you, and understand what you're doing and why you're here.
What a statement to end on. That's incredible. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. And thank you all for spending some time with us, especially if this is after your work day. We really appreciate you taking the time to log in and to listen. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us at these resources here. We're here to help every step of the way. But thank you so much for your time tonight. We hope you stay safe and have a great rest of your evening. Bye.